Good evening. I'm Rakesh Kalia, and I welcome all the viewers to the next episode of our webinar series titled Is Back to School Going to be the Rallying Cry for the Post COVID Schools? Friends, I feel privileged to welcome two most respected school leaders from the Middle East, Madam Girija Baiju, Principal Private International English School, Abu Dhabi. Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar.
And Mr. Pramod Majan, Principal Sharjah Indian School, Sharjah. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
So, viewers, more than a decade ago, late Dr. Clayton Christensen, who is credited with the theory of disruptive innovation, prophesied about brick and mortar schools becoming obsolete with the advent of online learning. Friends, few years before COVID-19 happened, he corrected his prophecy by stating that it is not going to happen. And the brick and mortar schools are here to stay for a long haul. Viewers, among various impacts of COVID-19, the most talked about is remote learning, which got immediate adoption by the schools across the world. School leaders and the school teachers displayed great agility to counter the onslaught of COVID-19 pandemic on student learning, thus considerably saving students imminent learning loss. So viewers, I'll first go to Pramod sir. Sir, what post-COVID schools look like in your opinion?
Yes, good evening to one and all.
Good evening.
Girija ma'am is there, sir is there. Yes, this pandemic has transformed each and everything. And this transformation is not temporary. This is a permanent transformation. So, post-COVID also, this transformation will remain and will remain effectively. So, if we think about what will be the post-COVID school scenario, so it will be number one, the schools will be techno-savvy. The school will run by technology. No doubt, technology will be only a supporting hand or a sophisticated add to the schooling process, but technology will play a vital role, whatever the area is. Second thing is, the schooling will become self-disciplinary. Self-discipline will be maintained. Now, prior to COVID, we used to say that thing, yeah, for ensuring the discipline, we have to take this step and that step. Now it is by default self-disciplinary. Third thing, the schooling will be well-being oriented. Well-being oriented in sense, maybe with health and hygiene, maybe the well-being psychologically, psychiatrically, as well as the thought process. In the thought process, people will respect to each another. There will be instead of sympathy, there will be empathy within the heart. They will respect the parents. Now the parenting also has changed completely. The parents all of a sudden become good friend to the students. So that will remain. Schools post-COVID will become hub of learning, hub of knowledge. There will not be any or there will not be any, okay, you come and we'll provide you the notes and you understand and you reflect and you omit in the examination. That will not be there. It's a hub of learning. It's a hub of knowledge. It's a place where the research happened. It's a place where the innovation will take place. It's a place where academic discussion will go on. The schooling process will mean for raising the bar of excellence. Excellence in physical process, excellence in capex, excellence in operation, excellence in academics, excellence in assessment, excellence in curriculum. That will be there. Curriculum, now it will not be a written document only. It will be an open-ended set of questions. What will you do? When will you do? How will you do? Where will you do? So that will be an open-ended questionnaire. Assessment will be student friendly. Students will take the assessment with the smiling face. Students will say, no, I am not ready today for getting this on this topic assessed. Another thing is the students will started owning their own academic ownership. They will not Remain only the students who will listen, who will take the note, and who will describe and who will write the exam. No, they will be an independent learner. They will think beyond. They will do some research. They will do some project. They will get the guidance from the teacher. They will not be depending neither on the teachers nor on the, we can say, textbook. They will be depending on themselves. So that will be the scenario. Implementation. Now teachers are transformed. So they will implement as an individualized concept. There will be an individualized attention. There will be, the teachers will be just like a scaffolder or the guide. They will be the facilitator. They will be showing the ways and means to go ahead. That will be there. Hybrid model of learning will rock. I'm using the word will rock. Yes, that will be the only solution now. So hybrid model will be there, and students will be the independent learner, teachers will be the facilitator, schools will be the knowledge hub, technology will be there, self-discipline will be there, and there will be a wow factor pro COVID. And this credit goes to, so today, from this platform, let's salute to the COVID-19. Thank you.
Great, great, sir. So that's very well said, sir. Schools becoming tech savvy, self-disciplinary and well-being oriented. That was a wonderful thought. Moreover, empathy taking its central place in the teaching, learning, and hybrid model rocking post-COVID. That's a wonderful thought. So, Girija ma'am, your thought on this, man?
I think what Pramodji has said, I just add some more points. I think we will be moving from a teaching culture to a learning culture. This is what he said. From a teaching culture to a learning culture. And we have to introduce changes that can help get students back on track when they return to their classrooms and bring about sustained improvements in school. There should be changes in schools now. Changes should happen. Teachers should change. And we have to rethink how we can use technology to rethink education. Technology can help us to transform how we teach and learn. It has to transform. Teachers have to change. And beyond classroom walls, before we had one size fits all strategy. Okay. Now that has been the trend for the past many years. Whatever you say, it was like, one size fits everybody. But now it is changing. Now students will be empowered to learn for themselves in a flexible, often collaborative, both inside and outside the classrooms at their own pace. And they will be able to follow their own interest. Like how he said, now I don't want to write the exam. I'm not ready. So the children, they will decide. It will be according to their own interest and be challenged wherever it is appropriate. And the third also, now teachers will have access to individualized real-time data. How? Now see, after an examination, the teacher will have the real-time data as where his drawback is, where he has to improve, and how well each of their students is progressing. So they can devise new challenges and offer appropriate support for each child. Isn't it very good? Because accessing the child, you do the assessment and then you see where the child is weak and then you improve on it. And there has been enough inequality in education, which has to be strengthened, because we find that every child is not being taught according to the same way. So now there is inequality, and that has to be, we have to overcome that. And children who start school from now onwards will grow up to be workers and leaders in a digital first world that will demand new skills and new ways of thinking. Okay, this one is, I think the pandemic has brought a drastic change, and Pramodji has covered everything. And it is going to be a digital first world that will demand new ways of, I'm sorry. Okay, and to now, if they want to succeed in life and at work, they will need all the social, emotional, and academic support they can get via rich and flexible learning experience that will differ vastly from school days of their parents. What the parents learned was reading, writing, and arithmetic. And now we have a fourth R, rethink. Rethink
Rethink.
about education. That is what is very important. So I think Pramodji has covered all the areas, and I feel that we have to start changing our ways of teaching and the new ways of learning. That is what has to be implemented after the COVID. Thank you.
Wonderful. Girija ma'am, you rightly said rethinking education. That's very, very good. So digital first world, for sure, school, the whole ecosystem is undergoing a rapid and drastic change. And post-COVID is really going to be a game changer, you know. So now viewers, school ecosystem with all its stakeholders runs on certain basic elements that drive learning outcomes, right? Pre-COVID school system had been functioning for decades without challenging the status quo. But COVID-19 pandemic upturned most things in education. Still, there are few things that will remain unaltered for all times to come. So my next question is for Pramod sir. Sir, which elements of pre-COVID schooling will continue in the post-COVID schools? Sir, your mic is off.
Girja ma'am has given fourth R. I wanted to give the fifth R also in that,
Good.
and that is reinvent. Now students started reinventing, teachers started reinventing. So now what will remain, which components will remain of that is of pre-COVID? Yes, the components which remain in the post-COVID, and that will be as usual, and that is going on from centuries. That is the learning culture. So the learning culture will remain. That culture in which the students learn, in which the students are motivated. So learning culture will remain. Second thing is, whatever you say, technology, machine learning, gamification, artificial intelligence, but teacher and classroom teaching, there is no substitute. So that fundamental teacher and that fundamental classroom teaching will remain as a platform post-COVID also, on which the students will jump in such a manner that even the sky will not be a limit for them. With standing on that platform, traditional teaching, traditional platform, traditional curriculum, traditional ways, standing on that platform, they will say the sky is the just beginning. So I think you might have clear what I mean to say. So
Correct.
the teacher's avatar will change, but the teacher will remain teacher, and classroom teaching will remain classroom teaching. That is one thing. Second thing which will remain is the importance of the schooling process, the affection towards the school. That concept will remain. The home is the first school and school is the second home. That will remain. Whatever happens, that will remain. The students will think and will feel homely within the school, and they will find out the school within the home. So that will still remain. And when I say platform, that is the platform. School is the second home and home is the first school. So that will remain. Whatever be, even if the nuclear families are there, still that concept of Dada Dadi and Nana Nani, that will remain. They will call them, they will now, things will happen like that. They are not face to face connected, but they will be either digitally connected or telepathically connected. And that telepathic connection will remain post-COVID also. So that is my input on that.
Great, sir.
Little bit philosophical looking, but yes, that matters. That telepathy works.
Correct.
And that is there.
Correct, sir. Correct. We as humans are definitely, we use our telepathy to the maximum, and this is all at the spiritual level. In fact, spiritual and emotional levels. So telepathy does work. And moreover, school as a second home sounds very, very interesting, and it is a reality as well. And I think you rightly said, we are now reinventing the old culture of learning again. So back to learning, as Girija ma'am also said, So friends, pandemic time has been unprecedented in terms of online teaching and learning. Teachers faced challenges while teaching, and students also had hard time adapting to an unusual way of taking online lessons. Both the teacher and the taught got adapted to a certain new normal in the online academic setting. So, Giraji ma'am, do you think online teaching learning has been mainstreamed due to COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, what Pramodji said, school now when the changes are happening so fast, teachers have adapted so well. I think every faculty member is going to be delivering education online, and every student is going to be receiving education online. The resistance for online is going to go away as a practical matter. Okay, it will be there, but slowly, we will realize that this is going to be our way. Some believe that the unplanned and rapid move from online teaching, that is no training, insufficient bandwidth, little preparation, will result in poor user experience. But others believe that a new hybrid model of education will emerge with significant benefits, and that will be integration of technology, okay, in education will further be accelerated, and that online education will eventually become an integral component of school education. You cannot say that you're going to avoid that completely school education. No, as he said, school is the second home. Children, they have to come, especially the primary children. Their concentration level is very little, so they need the classroom, they need the teacher. But when it goes to the higher education, I think this will be more effective. And I think there are reasons why I say so is this is flexible. This learning process is flexible. Online enables the teacher and the student to set their own learning pace. And there's the added flexibility of setting a schedule that fits everyone's agenda. And the second one, it offers a wide selection of programs, because that is why we are looking forward to. Lot of now, even now, if you take the statistics, many students have enrolled in 2 or 3 programs. Okay, so it offers a selection of wide programs, and in a space as vast and wide as the internet, there are infinite skills and subjects to teach and learn. A growing number of universities and higher education and schools also offering online versions of their programs for various levels and disciplines. And also the next one is it is accessible. Okay, easily accessible. Now we sit, where are you? You are in Gujarat. I am in Abu Dhabi. Ramoji is in Sharjah. So we are able to, connect. We are able to collaborate. So it is easy accessible to children. And also it allows for the customized learning experience, a customized learning experience for each child. Yeah, how flexibility can help to set your own study pace, but online education is also flexible for each student's individual requirements and level of ability. And also there is another most important thing is it is cost effective than the traditional education. Unlike in-person education methods, online education tends to be more affordable. Okay, but there are challenges. Understood. Like, see, countries like Sweden, Norway, and Switzerland, they have around 95% of the students have their computers. But in Indonesia, only 35% of students have. That is a statistic report. They only have computers. So the challenges are there. But how to overcome these challenges, that is up to each university and the OECD, how they will take this up and they will develop this system. Okay, so that is what comes into effect if we go ahead with this. And when children start feeling that they can study at their own pace, they can use the videos, they can study. So slowly this will move to the online programs. Thank you.
Very correctly stated, ma'am. Hybrid or blended mode of learning is for sure going up, like going to be adapted by the schools at a very large scale post COVID. And despite all these tech challenges, we are still be able to overcome the challenges. And It is cost effective, as you said. Online is definitely cost effective. Not only that, it is the kind of green, initiative, because it doesn't require any travel requirements. So that's great. Thanks, Pramod sir and Girija ma'am, for all your thoughtful remarks in today's webinar. Viewers, it's clear that schools do change over time. As COVID-19 shift the ground underneath schools, the door is open for change. And now, policymakers and school system leaders must walk through it by taking strategic action to increase the likelihood that their efforts at transformation benefit students for years to come. Going forward, we are eager to learn from and highlight school system leaders who do just that. On that note, I again thank all the respected panelists on sparing their precious time. Thank you very much again and good evening
Thank
to all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.